I know what prayer can do. 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 I know what prayer can do.
Pastor Haynes and everybody that is on this morning. This morning, before I give the topic, I'm going to look a little from, we're going to read from the book of Daniel. From Daniel chapter 6, from verse 1 to 18. So I'm going to give you a little time to get your Bible and get the scripture. Daniel chapter 6. So I'll start reading and we can probably read at least 3 verses. And it's a little lengthy, so we can share. Someone else can also read. Are we ready? Okay. I'm going to start Daniel chapter 6, but I'm going to read the last verse of chapter 5. And Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 3 scores and 2 years old. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give account unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him. And the king thought to set him over the whole realm. So somebody can read from verse 4.
Then the presidents and princes sought to find against Daniel concerning the kingdom. But they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said unto him, King Darius, live forever.
And all the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains, have counseled together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree, that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree, and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree.
Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being opened in his chamber towards Jerusalem, he knelt upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed, and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the decree. Hast thou not signed a decree, that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man, within 30 days save thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Someone.
Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was so displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed.
Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace, and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. I'll stop there. Now, many a time when we read this passage, we focus a lot on Daniel and the great deliverance from the lion den. But I was studying the book of Daniel, and when I read this chapter, God brought out something else to me, and I thought of sharing it. So my topic today is beware. Watch your ego. Today we will focus on King Darius. After Belshazzar had dishonored the golden vessels of God, and Belshazzar, the writing came upon the wall, Belshazzar was killed, and Darius the Median was brought up as king. Now Darius was a young man, 32 years of age. But Darius started out with wisdom. Darius set persons over the kingdom. He established the kingdom. And he set up princes, 120 of them. And then he set up 3 presidents over the 120. And out of the 3 presidents, Daniel was first. So it would be safe to say that Daniel was after the king in the hierarchy. So it was the king, then out of the presidents, Daniel first, the others, and the 120 princes. So Darius set off well, establishing his kingdom. But the 120 and the other presidents, because Daniel, being a child of God, had an excellent spirit. So Daniel was an excellent worker. But this caused a jealousy, a spirit of jealousy in the others. You know, sometimes you're doing well, and instead of others try to emulate you and do good as well, they become jealous of you. And this is what happened with Daniel. They became jealous of Daniel. And they sought a way to bring Daniel down, to destroy Daniel's credibility. But they could not find that, because Daniel was faithful. It says that an excellent spirit was found in Daniel. So they could not find a fault in Daniel. But knowing that Daniel was a faithful person, especially to his God, they came up with a plan. They said that the only way we can find something against this guy is against his God, because he's always so faithful. He prays. So they come up with what they thought was a master plan. And so they went to the king, and in verse 7, and it says, all the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselor and the captain have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. So they came up with this petition and they brought it to the king. The king agreed and signed the decree. Why did the king do that? Because it appealed to the king's ego. We got to be careful with things that appeal to our ego. I wonder if the king ever questioned this, and I doubt whether all the counselors actually agreed to that. It might have just been a few men that came up with this plan. But they came to the king and they lied to him. Because I very doubt all 120 agreed to this thing. But these guys that was jealous came and they told the king that all the governors and all the princes and all the counselors and all the captains, it's like we have a unanimous decision, king. And they came before the king and they brought this decree, and the king signed it without questioning it, without thinking, because, this thing is something that will make me feel important. It appealed to the king's ego. He didn't realize that there was a hidden agenda to this appeal. He didn't understand, he didn't know that until it was too late. Brethren, beware of those well-meaning people with their well-meaning plans, their good plans. People will come to you, I have a good plan. We've got to be aware. The plan may seem good, but we got to be aware, especially if those plans are speaking to our ego. Or have we not heard? Who will tell you? There are people who will tell you things like, how is he or how is she? They choose to do that. You would have done a better job, You have heard it. They come and tell you, it's sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so, they send. Why they didn't send you? You are better than that person. You would have done a better job. Things that appeal to the ego. Beware of it, because it is a tool of the enemy to trap us. To trap you. Because it looks good, it feels good, it sounds good. And sometimes we go into it and we are unaware that a trap is being set for us. If we go back to the very first sin that was committed in Genesis chapter 3, where the serpent came to Eve in Genesis chapter 3. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. For God doeth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So the devil came there and he appealed to Eve's ego. He says, God is lying to you. God knows that if you eat that fruit, you would be like gods. It appealed to our ego. It's a fruit to make one wise. And Eve did take and eat and gave to Adam, and sin came into the whole human race through one lie that appealed to the ego. We have got to be very careful with those lies and those plans and those well-meaning things that are brought to us that ministers to our ego. I don't think God likes that at all. In the book of Exodus, Miriam and Aaron begin to murmur against Moses, and God turned Miriam into a leper because of their ego. And they beginning to start murmuring against the leader, against the servant of God. And God turned Miriam into a leper. So God is not pleased with these things that appeals to the ego, and sometimes we allow them to take root without we understanding what would happen. Going back to King Darius, in verse 12, the men came back to Darius, and they said to Darius, then they came near and spake unto the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree, that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. They knew that once the king had made a decree, that it could not be altered according to the law. But when they told the king that Daniel was praying to his God, then the king realized, oh my, what have I done? It says he was displeased with himself. Then the king, when he heard these words, was so displeased with himself. He realized, oh my, I have been foolish. I have been tricked. But this law has already passed, and according to the Medes and the Persians, it cannot be altered. It says the king, he set himself he set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. He tried, he thought of all ways, how can I save Daniel from this lion's den? But those wicked men came back and they reminded him, the law cannot be changed, it cannot be altered according to the laws of the Medes and the Persians. They thought that they had a solid plan to destroy Daniel. But the king knew that the law could not be changed. But this same king who said 30 days, no man should ask a petition of a god. No man should pray or ask any other petition. This king now is now asking a petition. The king that made the rule, the king that said it cannot be altered, this king now is now asking a petition. He knew he could not change it, but then the king began to trust in Daniel's God. He says, Daniel, thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. He will deliver thee. He trusted in Daniel's God. And he said, He will deliver thee. He will deliver thee. Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. This man showed a trust and a faith in God, in the God that Daniel served. Brethren, for us today, the God we trust will give us wisdom if we ask him. We gotta run things by God, no matter who bring it to us, no matter how good the plans seem. Run it by God. Never take a decision on our own. The best well-meaning plan may have a secret agenda. It may not be the person who bring it. These guys that brought the plan, they knew. The men who bring it to the king, they knew what they were doing. But the king that executed it did not know that he was being tricked. Sometimes the enemy comes in well-meaning people, and that person does not mean evil, Sometimes the person who come up with the plan does not know that the enemy have a secret agenda. To them, it looks like a good plan. But it is God who knows the beginning from the end.
Amen.
Trust the direction of God. Sometimes people are being used by the devil. They are being used without they know they are being used. The king was used, and he was unaware that he was being used until it was too late. How many times have we not heard someone tell us, I am so, so sorry. I'm very, very sorry. I never meant for this to happen. And they are genuinely sorry. The king was genuinely sorry. It says the king was sorrowful. He fasted. He couldn't eat. When he knew what was happening, he could not eat. He could not sleep. He stayed all night fasting and probably praying. It probably didn't even mention that he prayed, but that king probably spent the whole night fasting and praying for Daniel. So sometimes, brethren, don't make a decision on anything just because it appeals to our ego. The ego that makes us, that gives us that kind of self-importance, the self, oh, that sounds good, that will look good. Be aware of these plans that are appealing to your ego, because they may just have a secret agenda. So with closing, run everything by God. Every decision, every thought, everything that come up you have to do, run it by God. Because God is the one that have all knowledge and know the beginning from the end. Thank you, brethren, for listening.